Well, this afternoon, Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Akoto Afriyie, says he's quitting the job. The government appointee is expected to run for the presidential slot of the New Patriotic Party, which says it is in search for President Akufo-Addo's successor. Well, Dr. Akoto Afriyie is the second appointee to quit his job for the race after Trade Minister Alan Kyerematen, another cabinet minister, took leave of the Akufo-Addo government last week. Well, let's get more now from presidential correspondent Elton Brobe, who's at the Jubilee House, where a lot of activities have been taking place. Elton, bring us up to speed with what's happening currently. We're an hour away from the time that he was scheduled to meet the President of the Republic. But do we know if officially the Greek minister has indeed tendered his resignation?
Yes, Blessed. I think we'll have to wait a little longer before we get finality on that matter. When I spoke to him before midday, he told me he had been given 2 p.m. time to meet with the president. But per the arrangement or per the president's own program for today, as I speak to you now, he is engaged in a meeting with the General Council of the Assemblies of God Church in his office. So it looks like we'll have to wait a little longer for that program to end before Dr. Afriyie will have his moment with President Akufo-Addo. He confirmed to me on phone that he's been given 2 p.m. and also confirmed to me that he was coming here to tender him his resignation. Also indicated that even after today's meeting, he will still hold on to office for the next 2 weeks before he will leave the Agric ministry finally. So regarding the status of his resignation, he says confirmed he's had verbal discussion with President Akufo-Addo. He's only formalizing it with a letter. And then hopefully after this meeting with the General Council of Assemblies of God, we're just waiting for him to come.
But I'm interested in that conversation you had with this government appointee. He indicated to you that, well, he's leaving office, but he wants to do that in a period of 2 weeks. What's the explanation to that?
So this was, it is the Greek minister himself who told me that he will resign today formally, but I think there's obviously going to be a period within which you will have to hand over finally to somebody whom the president may appoint as caretaker or in a substantive manner. So perhaps that is the arrangement he has had with President Akufo-Addo verbally. And he was quite clear that he will present the letter today, but he will still stay in office for at least 2 weeks before he will leave the Agric ministry finally. This is what he told me before midday. So that's been the, according to him, that's the arrangement. But he's coming here today is formally to, tender in the letter of resignation and then start the process of handing over.
What sense do you get from the Jubilee House watching the demeanor of staffers at the presidency? Does this look like it's something the president will negotiate on? Try at least to ask the Greek minister who's running one of his flagship programs, Planting for Food and Jobs. That's a critical aspect to Ghana's economic performance. So given his role in this program, do you see the president trying to ask the Greek minister to hold on a bit?
I think we've gone beyond that stage. I think what is clear is that, there is no holding back. The Greek minister is set to go, and he is going on his own volition, and that he's decided that the time is now for him to step aside and allow full concentration at the ministry so that he can also concentrate on his personal ambition, which for now we know that he has made it quite clear that he will put himself up for election when the party opens nomination, subsequently go for National Delegates Congress to elect a flag bearer. So he's made it quite clear that the time for talk is over. Indeed, we were told last week that he wanted to follow Alan Kyerematen, but then we had information that he had been talked out of, putting in a formal letter of resignation. Now he confirms on phone that he's come to that decision and there's no going back, and that there's been a verbal, acceptance of it. What he's coming here to do is basically to make it official. And he's had an extensive discussion with President Akufo-Addo, and that's how come he's coming here today. So today we're working as Agric Minister, he worked out as outgoing Agric Minister. That is his position on the matter. And he's not hidden his intention at all, but he's made it clear from the one that he will want to run as president on the ticket of the MPP. He's told us that in 2007, he supported President Akufo-Addo against the 16 other contestants. And that he made it clear to President Akufo-Addo, whom he called Billy, that he was going to support him until he was elected president of the republic. And then when he is done, he will now put himself up for election. So he is only following his own timetable in terms of, working to the high office of a president as to whether the party delegates and the people of this country will give him the nod. That's another discussion we can have later. But for now, he's more than convinced in his mind that he's the best person for the MPP in their quest to break the 8. And that process, to formalize it, have the luxury of going and the freedom of going to the constituencies, the region, the districts, to convince them without infringing on his ministerial oath. That is what you want to do today.
Elton Brobe, presidential correspondent, giving us the latest on the status of the Greek minister, Dr. Afriyie Akoto. We're still watching that space and that meeting up ahead. I want to bring in political scientist Dr. Asante with the University of Ghana. Doc, thank you for your time. Second cabinet minister to exit Akufo-Addo's government in less than 7 days. That's strange, isn't it?
It is not. Blessed, it is not. It is part of the process. It is important that those who really want to contest must leave office so that they create space for those who will come and fill the space and then work to support the government to deliver on its mandate. That's it.
Why they will be doing this at this time? This is a government that wants to, quote, break the 8, and that will be hinged on the performance of the NPP government or administration. They're in the middle of an economic crisis. You have sensitive positions. The Trades Ministry and the Greek Ministry, which is dealing with the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, critical and crucial to dealing with inflation that we're experiencing in this country. All the ministers in charge of such critical sectors are leaving office for their presidential gain. I mean, to what end? Is that a politically correct move to take?
It is, because touch wood, even if these people are not in government or they are not alive, for God forbid anyway, are you saying that the government will not run? The government will run, all right? But the problem is that when you continue to keep them in office and we have the hope that they are working for the state, meanwhile, they are working for themselves with regard to their vision and aspiration, then it becomes a problem. So I believe that they have done the honorable thing, leaving office and then, saying goodbye to the government machinery. Now they are out there to do their own thing, to champion the cause that they believe in. I think that is it. And we are not also saying that there are people that cannot be replaced. Their position will be filled by people who are equally competent, and then take it from where they are going to leave off. That's it.
Well, first there was Alan. We're yet to hear from him on his official bid to contest as the presidential candidate for the NPP. But then I want us to talk about the man in question now, the Greek minister, Dr. Afriyie Akoto, as to what he brings on board politically. Is this a fair practice for us now to compare the two figures involved? In that lead up to the race, who do you see as the most preferred and likely to make it out as the candidate, the one that eventually delegates will settle on?
Oh, that is a difficult question to answer as to whether he will win or not. You need data from the ground, and I've not gone to the field to say that. But we can do some analysis regarding his candidature if he really put himself up for it. In such elections, we call the intra-party election within elections. one, you look for popularity. You must be popular with the rank and file of the party, especially those who have the mandate to vote, right? You need to be popular among them. Not only that, but you should also be somebody who have something that you bring to bear on the political system. What am I talking about? We are talking about your record. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You are going to look at your record. That because politics, as I've always said, is what a contest of ideas and a referendum of your work. So yes, you want to bring ideas to bear on the podcast system, but you want to see the
precisely
work.
why I was asking the question, because even in government, some may compare their achievement and contribution to the performance of the NPP administration. So let's start off from the Greek minister, for instance. This is someone who supervised the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign. Yet we're still experiencing food inflation. He's argued his side out. He believes it's a matter of other factors, transport, and the fact that in the hinterland you have food in abundance. But really comparing his track record as to what he's done so far, do you feel that the members of the NPP will be pleased with what he's done as a Greek minister?
Obviously, he can't satisfy everybody, but he has something that he will show as part of his records, all right? And that is not the only grounds on which that the people are going to consider and vote for him. There are other factors as well. One is that his marketability. Is he marketable within the party? Let us remember that after the intra-party election, it's going to be what all nations are fair. And you need somebody who is not only marketable within his party, but that he is also marketable within Ghana. And that is one of the things. We want to see somebody who has constituencies. What constituencies, what am I talking about? What are some of the people who will always stand for him and all that? He comes from Ashanti region, of course. That would be one of his strongholds. Any other places that he has also tried to work and gain their support will be his constituency.
Right.
And that is also crucial. We also want to see somebody who also will be able to, if elected, will be able to rub shoulders with any flag bearer from any of the political parties. Is that the candidate that we are talking about here? Yes, these are the kind of questions that will agitate the minds of the voters in deciding who to vote for. But not only your records. Your records, he supervised Planting for Food and Jobs. He is now going to answer questions from that when he meet the voters. They will throw questions at him. They will also want to ask him about issue of fertilizer and whatnot. All these things will come to play. And of course, his achievement. There's no doubt that he has also worked to achieve certain results from his ministry. And then other factors will also come to bear. What are the factors I'm talking about? Resource mobilization. You need resources to be able to prosecute this type of agenda. You need strategy. That really works. And then you need message that resonates with the people, both within and outside the political party. And above all, you need a manifesto, a program of action that will really be alive with the needs and aspirations of the people within the party. These are a host of factors that voters will consider in giving their mandate. So it's not very simple. That is only your record or your ideas.
And my attention is... Yeah, my attention is just being drawn to the historical facts as well. This is son of Blessed Akoto as well. I mean, the sense of entitlement was definitely setting, isn't it? He would say, I'm the owner of the tradition. I'm the one who's rightfully the one to take on the tradition and sustain it. Would that be a factor?
Yes, it is a little plus for him, but let us remember that yes, Blessed Akoto, we are not talking about, himself, but right. His son. But I agree that some of these things will rob off him indirectly or directly, all right? But we want to see the real son, what is it that he has to show to the people of this country or his party members, and that's it. But there's no doubt that being the son of Blessed Akoto, the people who are party boys through and through will also, some of them will be swayed by some of these things. But here you are. If you extend that argument, Afriyie Akoto also married Afriyie Akoto also married President Kufuor's wife. So you realize that there's a connection with President Kufuor and all that. These are some of the constituencies I'm talking about that will also come to play and all that. But voters are looking at what? The problems of the country, that they want a candidate who is above reproach. They want a candidate who has his eyes on these things and have adequate knowledge to be able to what? Address these problems. Because come 2024, that person will come face to face with the public, and then we want to see whether that individual who is a flag bearer for the party has what it takes to lead the party and then garner votes for the elections.
So let's look at President Akufo-Addo himself and what he should be doing now. There are reports, as we're getting from a presidential correspondent, that this may lead to a reshuffle. Of course, the president finally giving in now. We're not certain if that's what he would eventually do, but is this reinforcing the need for a reshuffle?
Oh, definitely. When a minister is out, somebody must come in. So there's a need for that space to be filled by another person, which the president has no choice, but he will fill it. But he will either, get somebody afresh to come and replace him, or he can, move somebody from deputy ministerial position to fill the substantive position, or he can have a caretaker, minister and all that. The choice is the president, and we will exercise it when the time comes.
The NPP itself, they've begun the reconciliation moves. They're meeting with all of the branches across the region starting from today. They're starting from the central region. Are these moves that will mend the faults within the party? And would you feel that, of course, trying to keep a united front will be crucial to that contest in 2024, knowing very well that some say, relatively speaking about the NDC, they have a smooth ride in terms of finding their next presidential candidate?
Oh, it is not a wrong move. It is an important exercise which ought to be done. So if they found a time to do it now, I am for it. All that they need to do is that it shouldn't be a mere talk shop. They should walk the talk. They should be able to mend differences. They should be able to assuage the pain of people, and they should be able to speak the language that will get people rally around the political party and then galvanize support for the party come 2024 elections. They have to do this. It is an evil necessity that all.
Doc, if you're with us, I was just about asking you about the status of the vice president as well. The vice president himself, he has not spoken to us here. He has not made public his intentions to run for that presidential race that's coming up. But many are raising concerns as to whether or not he should also be jostling for that, knowing that others have gone ahead of him. Doc, what would you suggest that the vice president do in this case, knowing that he's still the vice president and he needs to be mindful about that position as well?
I'm the one who speaks for the vice president.
Yeah, but it will be a difficult time for him, isn't it? Knowing that others have gone ahead of him.
Oh, it is obviously a difficult time for him. But the vice president is capable of managing his own affairs. So let's wait and see what he will do. But it's a difficult time. Is he going to, leave office and begin to campaign whilst we also look for a vice president or not? A very difficult situation. But I'm sure that if he has his eyes on the seat, that is the flag bearership, contest that he want to contest, then obviously a time will come that he need to take a decision, and that decision he's prepared to go with the consequence that come with it. And I'm sure that he is such an astute politician and he knows what to do.
Right now, for the NPP, if there's a key factor they would need to consider, what would you advise that to be?
Oh, I believe that the NPP must prevail upon its members, especially those who want to contest that the game of election is not through violence, rancor, bickering, and then backbiting and all that. It doesn't work out well for the party. Whatever that they are going to do in terms of what putting themselves up for election, they should have at the back of their mind or bear in mind that if they churn out negative information against each other in their bid toward win power, those individuals, those eventually whoever comes up as tops of the contest and there are negative comments against him, they will become the building blocks for messages that are going to be churned against that individual in the next election, and that it will be counterproductive for political campaign. You need to work hard whilst you are campaigning. You need to also work hard to answer some of those negative comments and all that. They should be mindful of that. They should also be mindful of the fact that you cannot just fold your arms and win. And then all that I'm saying is that the mantra of breaking the eight, you don't just pronounce that. It is by dint of hard work that gets you there. So this is a time that they should put their shoulders to the wheel and then work and support the government for the government to be able to leave a record or a legacy that they can stand on in campaign. And the last of it is that they should also make sure that they support the government to fix the economy. The economy is critical because one of the factors that influence voter choices is the economy, is the number one, irrespective of party tradition, ideology, whatever. People believe that when the economy is fixed, their means of livelihood is secured or guaranteed, for which reason any party who does anything contrary to this type of demand, you are likely to suffer the consequence of being booted out of office. That I'm sure they are not oblivious of.
Dr. Asante, thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. Well,
I am always grateful.
We're talking about the reopening of schools today. It's coming up really strongly with fears that there may be an imminent food shortage. We'll talk all about that when we return from this break.